Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a vegan quiche. I'm going to include everything I'm using for this recipe in the description box, so let's get started. So I got my tofu. Now you do not have to use this type of tofu. This is the firm, but I actually have this in the refrigerator. The best tofu to use for this will be the silk, but I'm going to use what I already have. So I'm going to open up this tofu, get my knife, and I'm just going to cut it open and I'm going to drain it before I use it. So let me drain it. Alright, so I've drained my tofu. I drained all the water out of it. For this, you don't have to get all the water out of it to make this recipe. It's fine, because normally for regular tofu recipes that I make, I'm usually making some type of vegan fish fillet or something, and you want to get as much water. But for this, we're just making a quiche, so it's okay if there's a little bit of water left in there. All right, and then also measured out my ingredients along with my nutritional yeast. All this is going to go in the food processor. Got my food processor right here. I'm just going to put my tofu in there. And I'm going to mix my stuff in the food processor first. I'll pulse it for a few, and then I'm going to add in the nutritional yeast and the seasoning. So once that gets smooth, you want to pull it all down. You want that tofu to get really mixed, and then you're going to add in the other ingredients. So it should be smooth like hummus, like a hummus texture when you get mixed with it. I think that's good, and I'm going to add my nutritional yeast and seasoning, and I'm also going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce. Well, actually 2 tablespoons, I'm sorry, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And I just have a Sprouts brand soy sauce. Is organic. I'm going to use that. I did not do low sodium or anything. If you want to do low sodium, you can, but I did not do low sodium. So all right, so I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and this should help thin out the mixture some more. Oh, so I didn't tell you that you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees. You're going to need a 9-inch pan. I'm going to be using a cast iron pan because I think it works well for making quiche. So just a mental note, make sure you have your oven set to 350 degrees. Ooh. And then I'm going to mix it up a little more. So hold on one second. Sorry for the noise in the background. My husband is actually doing some things in the garage, so you can probably hear the leaf blower. So disregard all that if you can hear it. So this is smooth, but I want it to get smoother. Remember, we're going for, you know, like an egg mixture, so you want it to get really, really thin. So pulse it. Very creamy. You want that mixture to be very creamy. So I'm just going to move some things off the stove because I'm going to cook my vegetables. Alright, so to cook my vegetables, I'm going to use this wok pan right here, and I'm using broccoli. Move this out. All this out. So I'm going to use a head of broccoli. And I have I believe maybe a cup of cherry tomatoes cut up in 4 pieces. And I'm trying to think what else I'm using. Oh yeah, and a half an onion. So you're gonna need, I'm using a Vidalian onion, but you can use a yellow onion and you can use a red onion. So whatever onion you prefer, but I'm going to use the Vidalian onion. It's less, it has less sulfur, so when I'm cutting it up, it doesn't burn my eyes. And so that's the only reason why I used a Vidalian onion today. But yeah, and my cherry tomatoes, the reason why I use the cherry tomatoes, I feel like those are just, they usually stay hard when you cut them up. And so I like that they don't release a lot of the juices until it's time to cook them or whenever you put them in the salad. So that's what I like about the cherry tomatoes. So 1 cup of cherry tomatoes cut up in 4 pieces, or you can cut them in half, however you want to do. All I did was cut them in half and cut them in half again. I cut them in half long ways and then cut them in half again, both sides. So, and that's how I came up with the 4 pieces. And then I just did a half of a Vidalian onion, so you only need a half a cup. So usually a half of an onion is a half a cup. So if it's not, it might be a little bit more or a little bit less, just depending on what size onion that you have. But I'm going to start cooking my onion first. And I'm also going to add some garlic to this, 2 cloves of garlic as well. So put my oven on. And I'm just going to saute the onions and the garlic in just some olive oil in the pan. And if you don't have olive oil or no type of oil, you can always use some water. That's just a little trick I have heard and learned. So if you don't have any oil, use some water. Tablespoon of water, 2 tablespoons, whatever you need to coat the bottom of that pan. So I already have my vegetables cut up over here, and I'm just going to add them to my pan. I'm going to start with the onions because they're going to take a long time to cook down versus the tomatoes and the broccoli, because I don't want my tomatoes to fully cook down. I want the onions to be softened though. So that's why I'm starting with the onions. So start with that. And I'm gonna get out my little thing. I'm just gonna cook those onions in some olive oil. And you just want those to cook together, and then I'm gonna add my garlic in there also, so that can be cooked. And you want them to just cook until they're a little translucent. Then you can add the other vegetables, because the other ones are only gonna take a few minutes to cook versus these onions. These onions take a long time to cook down. And I just have my oven, it's a gas oven. So I turned it down to 4 to cook these onions. While that's doing that, I'm gonna pulse this mix some more. You want this mixture to get super creamy. So with the tofu, when it was mixing by itself, I wanted to give me that hummus mixture, that hummus type texture. Now me adding the soy sauce and me adding the seasonings, now I'm looking for more of a creamy type mixture, more comparable to like a ranch dressing, something like that. So yeah. So yeah. And it smells so good. Alright. I think I got what I want out of this mixture. So I'm going to take it off so you can see. This is the type of mixture I'm going for. Something like cake batter, you know. So something like that. If you want it to be thinner, you can always add a little bit more soy sauce. Or if you don't want to add so much soy sauce in it, you can also add some plain almond milk or soy milk with no flavor. Or you can add like a tablespoon, mix it up, and if it's still too thick, add another tablespoon. But I would say add a tablespoon at a time to thin it up. Don't add, you know, a bunch, because then you might add too much and it might be too thin. So anyway, so check on the onions. They're looking good. Oh yeah. And I love adding onions to recipes, especially cooking vegan recipes. I like to add some onions to it just because it gives the recipe flavor. And so I like to add some onions to my recipes, a lot of them, really, if I can. If it goes right with the recipe, I like to really add it in there. So I have cooked the onions down some, and now I'm gonna add my garlic. So I want 2 cloves of garlic, which I got this little jar right here. And a half a teaspoon is comparable to a clove of garlic. So I just put that in there. And this is organic garlic. So I got this from my grocery store, and I got it where the vegetables are. So yeah, so that's where you can find it. It might be on the shelf like with the canned goods and stuff like that in your grocery store, but I always find this with my vegetables. So I don't know, this is where I find mine. So if yours is not there, ask a helper in the store, someone that's working there, to show you where the garlic is. So I'm just going to saute those two together. In garlic, it doesn't take much to cook. So I'm just going to saute those together for a few minutes. Really just a few seconds. Because I don't need much for that. And then I'm going to add in my tomatoes and my broccoli. And make sure to keep it, you know, if it start like charting like if the vegetables start to get like a little burnt on them, turn your oven down. That means you have it up too high. So you don't want them to be brown. All right, so I'm gonna add my broccoli and then I'm gonna add my tomatoes. I just used a crown of broccoli and I cut them up really, really small. And I just wanted the leaves, so that's pretty much what it is. I just wanted the leaves. Or the bush, whatever you want to call it. But I cut off the stems. As this cook, I also want you to add some salt and pepper just for seasoning. Because even though we have seasoning in our tofu mix, we also want to season our vegetables. So I'm gonna add some Himalayan salt and some pepper. And this is the Himalayan salt I'm using. I'm just gonna sprinkle some on there just to coat vegetables together. And then I'm gonna add some pepper. I'm gonna sprinkle pepper all over. And that's all. Did not measure anything, so I cannot tell you exactly what that is, but you want to sprinkle some on there just to season your vegetables. And once the broccoli start to cook, you know, cook down a little bit, and then I'm gonna add my tomatoes and cook those for about a minute. And then I'm gonna add all these ingredients with my ingredients in the food processor. So. Okay, I'm gonna add my tomatoes now. Now for this recipe, you can add whatever vegetable you want. If you want to do spinach, I say add spinach last because you know spinach cooks down quicker than a lot of other vegetables. So you want to add your spinach last to the dish, okay? So it won't cook down too far. You know, you can add, you can cook green beans. You can make this quiche however you want to. It's up to you how you want to do it because it's your, you know, it's yours. You can make this recipe yours. Or you can copy me and do it like this, and then if you don't like it, you can try it another way with a different vegetable. It's however you want to do it. You can add more onion, you can take away the garlic. It's really, you can just make it yours. You can customize it. So I've cooked that enough and put it down. Now I'm going to get a bowl, which I'm just going to use my bowl from KitchenAid. I'm just going to use this type of bowl to mix this stuff together. So I'm going to rinse this out. Alright, so I have my chickpea flour, which is about, I think this is about like a cup. Yeah, this is a cup of chickpea flour. I already got it measured out. That's going to also go into this dish. So I'm going to add that to my mixture over here. And the mixture is going to get thick again. So just be aware of that. I decided to add that last because I know it's a lot flour, and I want to work with that to get it thin. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of olive oil to this mixture. Okay. I'm just going to mix it in. Let's see if it's creamy enough. I think I'm gonna add just a little bit of nut milk, so I'm gonna add some almond milk to mine, just a tablespoon, just to get it a little thinner, and then I think I'll be good. So I got my almond milk. I had to get some out the refrigerator, so. Alright, so let me pulse this together. Alright, so I think I'm ready to take this out. And now you see, that's how the mixture is. I'm going to take out my middle. Actually, I might not need a bowl for this. No, I think I'm going to use a bowl. Alright, so clean my workspace. Now I'm going to get my little spoon and just take everything out of this and put it in a bowl. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm taking everything off of this and putting it in a bowl. I'm gonna put this in the sink. She's gonna I'm gonna do it right here so you can see me what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm gonna add everything to this bowl. And you want to make sure everything is completely mixed together. So if you pulse that mixture for about 5 minutes, it should mix well together. And you can work in 1 minute increments, because I know that's a long time to try to stand in one spot trying to pulse a mixture. So pulse it. That's why I pulse for a few minutes, doing one thing at a time and adding a few ingredients, so the mixture won't have to be pulsed for so long. Alright, so everything's in the bowl. I'm gonna add my cheese and vegetables. So the cheese I'm using is this plant-based brand. I got it from Whole Foods Market, and it's just their brand, and I'm using their cheddar cheese. Now, to make this meal interesting, you can also add their mozzarella plant-based cheese to this. So I'm just gonna use the whole pack. But if you were using 2 types of cheese, then you use a half a cup of this and then a half a cup of the other cheese. All right, so I'm adding that in there, just a whole pack. And then I'm gonna also add my vegetables to this mixture. I'm gonna mix it all together. You want to mix it all together so that everything is combined. You have vegetables everywhere, you have cheese everywhere. So that's kind of what you want to do. And as you can see, that's what I'm left with. You see my egg and not my egg, you see my mixture and my cheese and my tomatoes and broccoli. You see them all mixed up together. So that's what you're looking for. There's a little bit left of this. So I'm gonna put that in there. Can always use a rubber spatula just because it's just easier to get stuff out of my food processor, and you can kind of like work with the little curves to get stuff around the edges of your food processor. So that's kind of what I love it for. So here's my pan, my 9-inch pan. Now if you don't have a cast iron pan, you can use a casserole pan. It's whatever you have at home. Don't go out and buy a cast iron pan if you don't have one. So I'm gonna make sure I put oil in this first. So I'm using my olive oil in the pan, and you want to make sure that you get the size also. So coat the pan really nice, and then you're gonna cook this in the oven for 40 minutes. It's gonna be baking for 40 minutes, okay? And then once it's finished baking, you're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes, okay? All right, so let me wipe off my hands. All right, I'm gonna add this mixture to my pan. Make sure when you're putting it in the pan that you smooth it around, make it evenly. And I use my spatula to make it, to smooth it around, make it evenly. Okay. And then that's how it should look when it's going in the oven, okay? So I'm gonna put mine in the oven in the middle on the top right. And I'm gonna let it cook. So, all right, you guys, so stay tuned to the finishing progress, okay? So it's gonna bake for 40 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and show you how it looks, okay? Hey y'all, so I'm back, and now the vegan quiche is out of the oven, and so let's see how it turned out. It's still hot. I have not let it cool off, but I'm just wanted to give you an idea of how it will look when you get finished. So it should look like that, and then you want to let it cool. And as you can see, those orange pieces are my the vegan cheese coming through. You can see a pop of broccoli and the tomatoes. So yeah, that's pretty much all it is. You'll want to let it cool for about 10 minutes and then you can cut it and you can serve it. This can be used for any type of meal. I'm actually going to use it for my breakfast meal this week. So, and you can meal prep it. So I'm going to meal prep it, put it in some containers, and it's good for up to 4 days in the refrigerator. Alright you guys, so thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this quiche. Let me know if you try it and how the recipe turned out for you. If you have any questions, always remember to message me, and also remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.